Hello, and welcome to Planetary Coven, where music spells magic. I'm Kelly, your creativity cultivator, and I'm your guide through all things Logic Pro and music production in general. Today, we are going to demystify Logic Pro drum tracks. This is something that I use a lot in my own songwriting and music production, and I highly recommend that you use it too. Even if you don't end up keeping it for the final release track, it's good to know how to do it to idea, to get inspiration, or to just be a one-person band if you so choose. When you open Logic, you will be prompted to select a track type. We have drummer selected here. Let's go ahead and click Create. This is going to be our standard pop-up. This Brooklyn Grand Avenue preset with our kick and snare and hi-hat. But I want to go through a little bit of what you can experiment with within these smart tracks. The first thing to explore is the library. That can be selected by this little left-hand button, upper left-hand side. Click Library, and it comes up with our roster of drummers. Now, as you can see here, there's going to be several different styles: rock, alternative, songwriter, R&B, electronic, hip-hop, percussion. And within those genres, there's going to be subgenres where we have our specific drummers. For example, we have alternative selected here, and we have Aiden, who does indie pop. We have Nikki with indie disco, Gavin with indie rock, and so on and so forth. You can go through and, depending on what style of music you want to write, play around with these smart drummer tracks. Let's start with Funky Songwriter. If you don't see it already in your screen, hitting these little scissors. That's going to be our editor screen. Down at the bottom, we have an actual representation of our drum kit. We can select different types of sounds, and if it's highlighted in that gold color, that part of the instrument is going to be played. For example, if we didn't want cymbals, we could deselect that and we would just have the snare and that kick drum. We have our kit that we can pick and choose what we'd like to play. As you can see, we also have some percussion. If you wanted to add some layers of percussion, we have our tambourine, maracas, and even hand claps. This is our instrument home base, the actual things that we'll be hearing. We can also play around with time. There's different patterns that these instruments can play. Play around with a few buttons and see what you like. You can change it to halftime and double time if you want to really mess with the tempo. In addition to the actual pattern of sound, this follow button is super cool. If you already have some other tracks that you've recorded, let's say you want a percussion or a drum track that actually follows the beat that has been laid out. You have a bass line or an instrument track, a software instrument track, or something similar. You can click that follow button and the algorithm will actually shift the beat patterns to be in alignment with that track that you've already recorded. Keep that in mind. If you'd like something to closely follow a specific track, that's a great tool to use. All right, we've done a basic overview of what we're working with within this drum track. Let's experiment with how we might use this to our advantage as a songwriter, as well as a music producer. Let's look at this matrix. We have loud, soft, simple, and complex. So we can actually, within these presets, shift how it's going to sound in terms of volume and also in terms of complexity. Play around in the matrix with that loud, soft, simple, and complex to really shift and sculpt sound. We have these beat presets over here that are really fun to play around with as well. So if you're happy with how it sounds in the matrix, if you're happy with the cymbals and with the kick and snare, we can head over here and play around with our beat presets, and that's going to change up the rhythm. If we were on Big Swell, let's see what Beach Fire would sound like. It actually shifted our matrix, and our instruments have changed a little bit. We've gone from our cymbals being selected to a hi-hat. So within these beat presets, it is going to shift around what's happening on the right here. Keep that in mind. Maybe make a little note if there's something that you really like. You can keep track as you're playing around and experimenting with these new sounds. I also wanted to mention these on the right here are fills and swing. Just like our matrix where we can shift from simple to complex, we can also play around with how complicated our drum part is by how much we're engaging that fill dial. So let's look at this dial. It's about middle, so we're going to be hearing a fair amount of ornaments. Take it way down and see how that sounds. Now remember, today was just a brief overview of some of the options that are available to you within Logic Pro. I really encourage you to experiment. Play around with some buttons, move some dials around, use one drummer but change up the drum set. Play around with the beat presets. Maybe you really like the beat presets but you want to play around with the instruments. There are so many different ways to customize these preset tracks to really make them your own and reflect who you are as an artist and the type of music that you really want to create and bring into the world. So have fun, play around, make lots of mistakes, and see what springs from it. I can't wait to hear what you create. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. I look forward to bringing you more videos to help you empower yourself as an artist and take charge of your creativity. See you next time.